Alright guys, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be giving you my top 10 leveling tips for Fresh Classic, the Season of Mastery. These tips help you speed up your leveling, save money, and overall improve your quality of life while leveling. So let's jump straight in. The first piece of advice I'm going to give you is get all of the dungeon quests, okay? The extra experience gained in Season of Mastery does also apply to dungeon quests. And obviously dungeon quests are normally double what a normal quest would be. So these quests are going to give big XP, okay? I'd recommend getting the add-on Atlas quest. It basically tells you all the quests that you can obtain for a particular dungeon. And then you can also get the add-on Leatrix Plus. And then there's a little feature in the add-on to turn on WoW head links for when you go to the quest log and have a look at a quest. So you can very quickly find out where to obtain that quest. Alternatively, you can go on Wowhead's website and look at all the dungeon guides on there. They are very good as well. But what I tend to do is I like to collect all the quests before I go to a dungeon so I can maximise the amount of XP I get from that dungeon, and then very commonly those quests will actually chain into new quests so you can actually do the dungeon again. A good example of that is Alderman. You can do that a couple of times with a few quests. Next, I want to talk about death skipping. So obviously level 1 to 10 you get absolutely no res sickness, so you may as well do death skipping. But if you're beyond level 10, I would only recommend doing it if, say for instance, you finish loads of quests, you can res very quickly to the town by killing yourself, but only do it if you're going to do something else for 10 minutes to wait for that resurrection sickness to fall off, like going to a major city to pick up some new spells, moving to the next zone, or going to walk the dog, anything like that. For number 3, get a good leveling guide. My main advice when it comes to using a leveling guide is follow the leveling guide to an absolute T. Even though it might tell you to do strange stuff that you think will be less efficient, just follow the guide step by step, because if you stop following a guide step by step, that's when it kind of messes up and it gets very confusing and you're going to waste time. If you want to get the absolute best leveling guide out there, definitely recommend for you to get Rested XP. This guide has been made by some of the best power levelers who play this game, and if you do buy the guide, you will be massively supporting the channel and I would really appreciate it. But anyway, let's move on. I'd always recommend to level First Aid and actually keep it grinded up. First Aid massively reduces your downtime as any class in my opinion, because bandages are just so ridiculously powerful in classic WoW. Obviously a bandage takes what, like 5 seconds to do its healing, whereas like stopping and eating takes much longer. So always keep your first aid grinded up. What I'd recommend to do is whenever you find an area, you're doing a quest where you have to kill humanoids, keep killing those humanoids to get a little bit of extra linen cloth or wool cloth, whatever, so you can just keep that first aid grinded up. You can take that a little bit further, and early on in the game, you can get some linen bags. You will need 45 tailoring skill, which is roughly 180 linen cloth. I think it's worth doing in my opinion if you don't already have a friend who's leveling with you, or a guildie or something like that who is going to level tailoring, because you can just drop the profession later. You're going to quickly remember just how brutally irritating it is to not have bags, so I'd recommend just spending a little bit of extra time grinding some humanoid mods, getting your first aid leveled up, and getting that tailoring to level 45 just so you can make some bags and then drop the profession. Just as a side note guys, if we're going to be honest, it's probably going to be very difficult to level your professions on the launch of a game while also leveling your character efficiently, unless Blizzard actually manages to give us enough, mining and herbalism nodes and lays the game effectively. It's just going to be too much competition to the point where it's just going to be an actual rare sight to see a peace bloom or a copper ore. So realistically, tailoring and skinning are the only professions that you can reliably level because they require you to actually kill enemies. For number 5, I'd recommend for you to grind between quests. The idea of this is you want to keep the XP trickling in, okay? If you have health and mana topped up, you may as well burn that to be more efficient. So you get into this habit of, right, I've got loads of health and mana, I may as well kill some mobs on the way to turning in my quest. And now I don't have any health and mana, I'm going to carry on running. And then when I've got my health and mana back, I'll start killing again and just kind of get into that cycle of making the most out of your health and mana. Number 6, don't forget about your mount, okay? You should be saving for your mount the second you log into the game, because delaying a mount over level 40 is a big waste of time. So you might want to pick up skinning for some extra gold, the end of the day, you can drop skinning later, but it's one of the only ways that you can reliably make a little bit of extra gold without having to, you know, go on a little bit of a detour. I recommend getting the add-on What's Training. It tells you what spells you can get without faffing about on Wowhead, you know, going down lists and everything like that, so you can make good decisions on whether you should go back to the major city to get training and obviously not end up going there and realising you don't need any new spells really, and obviously wasting a lot of time. Always remember to finish off green quests. Now, get out of your head that green quests are bad, okay? They give less XP, but you complete them faster, so they're not really that much less efficient, okay? And if you remember to complete all of your green quests while also doing a little bit of grinding between quests, it will stop you from running out of quests and having to go to a higher level zone too early, which is always obviously problematic because of a reduced hit chance on higher level enemies. This is especially bad for a warrior because they have no hit chance talents, like other classes like mages and rogues or warlocks can somewhat get away with doing that, but, you know, most classes can't. Always be an opportune grinder. You know, if you find a spot where there's just literally 0 players because you've managed to get ahead of the bottlehead and no one's doing this quest where you are, then grind the hell out of those mobs until people turn up, okay? It's going to be hard on the launch to complete most quests unless you get ahead of that bottleneck, or unless Blizzard does layer the game very properly. I'll make a video much later on how to get ahead of that bottleneck. But the point is, take advantage of free experience while you can. Another thing that will help with this is grouping up with someone early on. I think the earlier you group on, the better, because it's going to be harder to get, you know, mob tags earlier on. So I'd recommend going as a duo or a trio, because that doesn't nerf the kill XP as much as a 5-man group. My last tip is more of a real life tip to advise you on how to not burn out and get bored of leveling. I'd recommend to obviously watch Netflix, right? You can either do this on a second monitor, you know, go and buy a crappy monitor before the launch. You can do it on your phone and then like mount it up against a speaker or just underneath your monitor or something. You can listen to podcasts or anything like that. Audiobooks are also a good shout. I'm listening to the Witcher audiobooks at the moment. They are very good. So I thought I'd end the video with some quick Netflix recommendations. So the new Witcher series should be coming out around about the same time as Fresh Classic, so I definitely, under pain of death, recommend for you to watch that. You've also got the new Lock and Key episodes that have just been released. You've got Stranger Things if you haven't watched that already. Sherlock is also on Netflix now, which is one of the best things on TV in my opinion. Final Space is good. It's a little bit of a funny cartoon. Basically Family Guy in space, can't complain. Poldark, if you have a bit of a man crush on Hayden Christian like I do. The Lost Pirate Kingdom, that's a good drama documentary about pirates. And then obviously the recommendation that I'm gonna recommend you the most with the utmost sincerity is The Secrets of Great British Castles. This is an extremely interesting watch that had me on the edge of my seat, as you can probably imagine. You think I'm actually joking, guys? I would genuinely probably watch that start to finish and be utterly enthralled by that program. My GM actually had to make a separate Discord channel on for me and some other select members of the guild, and he called it the History Channel, because we were boring people to death in the main Discord lobby. But anyway, my name is MetaGoblin. To my next video, ciao.